Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, You Want the Police Involved? Okie dokie. So, the day after Christmas about 10 years ago, my brother called me up and asked me for some assistance setting up some of his new computer equipment. He lived down the road from a store that specialized in discount china, so naturally it was extremely busy. Busy as in, cars were parked everywhere, including on the grass in front of the store, and it was impossible to see around the corner if someone wanted to pull out of the furthest exit. Unfortunately, the speed limit, 50 miles per hour, is also extremely high on the road as well, even if you have to really try to accelerate to get to 50 miles per hour by the time you pass the store. So, I decided to play it safe and was doing roughly half the speed limit, perhaps 30 miles per hour, while going around the corner of this store. Even at this speed, of course some guy decided to pull out without checking, and I couldn't stop in time to avoid hitting him. Now, I was driving an older Mitsubishi that already had some damage, and he had a small dent in his fender. And, come on, it's still Christmas, right? So, I get out of the car, take a look at the damage, and turn around to see a furious, older, red-faced gentleman in front of me. Right after I tell him that it doesn't really look like much damage, so there's no need to contact the police, he proceeds to scream in my face about how I was speeding and this is all my fault. Oh no honey. A young woman driving by herself may appear to be easily intimidated, but I was trying to be nice. If you want the police involved, let's do it, buddy. I call the non-emergency line, explain there was a very minor car accident, and that the other driver was insisting that it was my fault, so I would feel better if the police were involved. The dispatcher got my information, stopped for a moment, and then quietly thanked me for calling the appropriate number. 911 was hardly necessary, and told me that she also felt it would be safer for me if the police were dispatched. After a 30-minute wait, an officer showed up to the scene. I, not being a total moron, sat quietly in my car and waited for him to come over to me. The other driver felt it was necessary to leap out of his vehicle and run over to the officer and start screaming and gesturing wildly. I didn't catch what was said, but I did see the look on the cop's face, and I was getting more and more amused. After being clearly told to get back into his car, the cop came over to me and asked me what happened. I told him what was going on, and that not only had I not deliberately sped up to go the speed limit, I had actually slowed down because of how busy the business was. He nodded, and went back to measure the skid marks on the road, and confirmed he believed I was actually doing about 25 and complimented my thinking on safe driving in this specific situation. He then proceeded to write the other driver a ticket, and the other driver pulled out of the parking lot a second time, with his window down, flipping me off. At this point, the cop came over to me, explained that he wrote it up as the other driver's fault for more than $1,000 due to the damage on his fender. He also stated that, darlin', I don't say this often, but I believe you should take that man's insurance company for every dime you can get. Thanks for insisting we call the police. Next one is titled, Work is 8 to 4 only. Not me, but my co-worker, and I am super proud of them. The past few years I've been putting up firm boundaries with work after being screwed over a few times, including not being expected to answer emails or do assignments evenings and weekends. It's taken a long time, but I have learned my worth and that my time is valuable. Our company has about 200 employees, but I work most closely with one other person, who I have been encouraging to do the same. We were all put on remote work since last March, and recently the building opened again with the expectation that we would start back in person. I'll give props to them, they've done a ton of work to get the building cleaned, the air filters updated, enforcing masking, etc. However, HR at first talked a lot about how they would be willing to be flexible, since most schools are still closed and people needed childcare worked out, and that they would grant accommodations with people who had health concerns. Yet that didn't actually play out. In my situation, I had a unique childcare concern that had a simple solution, but they refused to budge. Long story short, I needed to start 30 minutes later and was told no. Several other co-workers have shared similar stories of not getting any flexibility whatsoever. My co-worker has several health issues and requested to work an alternate schedule, and was told the job is 8 to 4, so that's when you must be there. Understandably, they were upset. We've both been there well over a decade, and it's kind of a slap in the face to dedicate yourself to a place that talks up community and family and then told no after being promised flexibility. Here's the malicious compliance. The company handles missed time by covering in-house. So for instance, if someone has a meeting at a certain time, or calls in sick, someone who has a break or lunch covers them and gets paid a little stipend for it. We're talking like $20, not much, but if you take a few extras over a week it can add up to a nice little bit in your pay. My co-worker coordinates all this, and does it on Sunday for the upcoming week. Even though they don't work on Sunday, they would say it only takes about an hour to do, and it makes everyone's life so much easier since everyone walks in Monday morning knowing who is covering when, so it's worth it. Can you see where this is going? Upset at the lack of accommodation, my co-worker decided to take HR's word for it. They stopped sending the coverage email on the weekend and did it at 8 o'clock sharp on Monday. It was like the end of the world. Everyone was scrambling. Such a little thing to make life convenient, but they refuse now to do anything outside of work hours. They told me that the following weekend, managers were asking for it throughout Saturday and Sunday, but they ignored the emails. On Monday, they sent it at 8 o'clock sharp again. By the afternoon, the head boss had asked them to please resume doing it on the weekend, and they are now getting the extra hour paid by the company. I loved it. Take care of your employees and they take care of you. Give a little, get a little. Edit, here is some info asked about in the comments. 1. My co-worker doesn't have a disability, but is nearing retirement age and has some minor medical concerns that could make catching COVID very complicated. 2. From what I understand, they requested to continue remotely, and I am not surprised that was denied. While their role could be done at home, with people back in the building it wouldn't make much sense. They do a lot of the front office stuff, where my role is more in the background. I could do my job no problem going in only once a week, but their role really does need to be on site while people are there. I believe they had asked to do some days at home or half days at home. That would work if HR had let them. 3. It seems from what I gathered only 2 people were granted remote accommodations. One person I know has some complicated medical issues, so that made sense to me. Most people asking for flexibility have roles that, like mine, don't necessitate being on site. I was told that my requested accommodation would be unfair because everyone needs to be treated equally. And I get that, except most people work with clients, and I don't. My role is completely internal support. There are others like me who do back-end stuff or support in other ways who were denied what I consider minor accommodations in the spirit of fairness, but would make life a million times easier. 4. To explain a bit about the shift coverage, people would submit in what they needed and my co-worker figures out based on the schedules that week who can cover. They make a calendar of sorts too for people to sign up if they want extras. They do this at home because it's easier since our office is in the middle of everything and there's tons of interruptions. We're right by the copy machines and the front door too, so it makes it even harder to work sometimes. There are several tasks they like to just take home and do, because it would take 20 minutes at home as opposed to 3 hours on site with people popping in for this or that. One good thing about enforced social distance is the stop to this. So they don't mind doing a few things at home, and never have. It was more the sting of being told, you work or you don't, especially after management said again and again in the weeks leading up to returning that they'd be willing to work with us all and be understanding with hardships. Next one is titled, 2 government agencies couldn't agree on what's classified. As a contractor I couldn't fix this, but I needed them to get me out of the middle of it. How? I let it blow up. This story does not contain any classified information. The unnamed company's contracting relationship to NRO and CIA is unclassified. This tale does not name individuals, the location or the corporation I worked for at the time. Leaving those details out makes the story easier to tell, and I'm not looking to embarrass any individuals. This takes place about a decade ago at a large US corporation that contract with the US intelligence community. I was involved in the setup of a new corporate office in a US city. We built a sensitive compartmented information facility (SCIF) for National Reconnaissance Office (NRO) and later for Central Intelligence Agency (CIA) contract work. I'm the Computer Security Officer. We first built an NRO SCIF and got it approved for use. Next we needed approval for a classified network within the SCIF with encrypted links to a wider network. I was tasked with writing a security plan for the classified network and getting it through the approval process. According to the rules I had been trained on at that time, most of the plan was unclassified, but we needed to identify the SCIF location by address, suite, room numbers and where classified material was stored inside the SCIF. Per my training, that level of detail made the plan classified. This represented a bootstrapping problem, since I needed to put those details in the plan but did not yet have an approved classified computer system on which to prepare the plan. I contacted my NRO computer security counterpart, NRO Rep, to work out how to do this, and got a surprise. NRO Rep, just prepare it as an unclassified document. Me, but I need to describe the space, floor plans. Which rooms will have workstations? Where the servers, the safes, the crypto gear will be. That's confidential. NRO Rep, no, at NRO we changed those rules. It's unclassified. Me, what about other agencies? NRO Rep, don't know, don't care. Me, so I can do all of this on my unclassified corporate network laptop? NRO Rep, yes, and you can send me the printed document in the first-class mail, no need for courier or registered mail. Me, Roger Wilco. My security co-workers were hesitant, but I plowed in. I prepared the document as described, marked it unclassified, and sent it to NRO. After a few details back and forth we got the approval. NRO came out to install their gear and we were up and running. Flash forward 1 year. The SCIF wasn't fully utilized. Project management sought and got a small CIA contract. The contracting officers for CIA and NRO came to an agreement to share the SCIF and the use of the network. Background: it's government policy that in these arrangements the space and network are accepted as is. CIA doesn't demand changes to the space or the IT doesn't do new approvals. I was contacted by my CIA computer security counterpart, CIA Rep. CIA Rep, your network is already approved, but I need a copy of your plan and a copy of the NRO approval letter. Me, okay, they're unclassified. How shall I send them to you? CIA Rep, send them via first-class mail, here's the address. Me, Roger Wilco. Note, I know damned well at this point that a problem is brewing. Before proceeding I called the NRO Rep again. Me, the CIA Rep wants the plan. It's unclassified, but I expect him to have a problem with the details in it. NRO Rep, not your problem. The document is unclassified, end of story. Send it. Me, Roger Wilco. Yeah, I could have sent the docs via courier as though they were classified, but I had my instructions and I was following instructions. Closing square bracket. I prepared the docs, mailed them out, waited for the explosion. It took 3 days. Early in the morning, the CIA Rep called me on a secure phone. CIA Rep, you screwed up. That document is classified and you know it. You included SCIF location and storage specifics in it. Those paragraphs are confidential. Me, not according to the NRO Rep. CIA Rep, BS. You've attended our training, you know better. They must not have read it. Me, my NRO Rep was very specific. They declassified the data you're talking about. CIA Rep, not in our channels. Me, it's an NRO SCIF and system. The docs are unclassified in their channels. CIA Rep, right, sure. Give me your NRO Rep's name and number, I'll straighten him out. I gave the name and number to him, got off the phone and immediately called my NRO Rep to give him a heads up. Me, I described the previous call. NRO Rep, don't worry, you did the right thing. I'll straighten him out. So I wait. It's hard to concentrate on anything else as this brews. Lunch, mid-afternoon, waiting. Finally I get a call back from the NRO Rep. NRO rep, okay, I just got off of a 2-hour phone call. I have some instructions for you. It won't make sense, but just do this. Print off the unclassified plan, hand mark the hard copy as follows, mark all the paragraphs with room numbers as confidential and same with the SCIF drawings. Mark the overall document confidential. Send it to CIA via courier. Me, and the soft copy on my unclassified network laptop? NRO rep, leave it on your laptop. It's unclassified. Me, wow. Can you explain further? NRO rep, I don't want to talk about it. So I did as instructed. Pretty quickly the CIA sent us a letter approving the processing of their data on the network. A month later I spoke with the CIA rep, and after some other matters, I brought up the sore subject. This was the end of our conversation. Me, so I sent you that confidential copy of the network security plan, but the classification markup is handwritten. You know the soft copy of that document is still marked unclassified and is right now stored on our corporate network, right? CIA rep, I don't want to talk about it. When I left the company 5 years later, our files still had 2 copies of the exact same document, one confidential, the other unclassified. Next one is titled, Stop Working So Hard? Don't mind if I do. This is ongoing, so keeping things vague. The background, I work in a corporate setting on a mixed team. The team is made up of a few different roles, each with their own reporting structure. I am the only person reporting up to my manager on my team. I'm pretty much on my own for the day-to-day. The story, for the first half of last year, I worked for senior manager, that will be his name, on a mixed team. Some people on that team were rock stars. Others were not. I've always been a go-getter, perfectionist kind of person. So on that team, I didn't let things slip through the cracks. Which meant that often, I did things beyond my specific role. Halfway through last year, I moved to a new team and thus reported to awesome manager for the second half. Again, I'm the only one for my role on this new team. Cue the new year, and with it, performance reviews. This is the one time, outside of promotion, that you can erase. I've busted my butt on the new team and everyone I work with has shown appreciation. And this company actually did well last year, so funds are not a problem. Awesome manager is the one conducting my review, and they ask senior manager for feedback since I did report to him for the first half. Awesome manager says I'm doing an amazing job, keep it up, here are some suggestions. A senior VP of the company loves showing off something I made. Senior manager's notes say to not pick up every piece, allow others to fail sometimes so that they can grow and learn and better themselves. Then awesome manager informs me that the average raise percentage is 3.0%. Awesome manager tells me they recommended I get a 4.0% raise. They then tell me that all of the senior managers met for the whole organization to coordinate, and coming out of that meeting I am getting 3.0%. Awesome manager cannot get a straight answer why my raise was decreased. So since senior manager was part of that meeting where they cut down my raise, I'm following his direction, take on less. I've cut back to okay employee work ethic and am letting others fail and grow. Since I'm alone in my role for the team, and awesome manager just got moved elsewhere, I have another new manager, no one can call me out. In the meantime, I'm spending that extra energy prepping my resume, for more reasons than just this. Last one is titled, Work for $0. Some initial background info, worked in a school as IT network manager, my boss was the whole college principal. So my last boss when I started said clear as day in front of other new support staff, HR manager, accounts manager, facilities manager, that a great way for us to earn some extra time off that we could work extra hours when needed, TOIL, time off in lieu. Started doing extra, when needed of course, and not noting down anything that wasn't really warranted, i.e. stuck crap talking, or under like 25 minutes. Would start a little early and finish a little late. Worked up 6 days worth after the first quarter of the year, wanting to take 3 days off 1 week and then 3 the following. Put it for it and was denied due to not being pre-approved. Spoke to the other new managers that were employed at the same time, the HR and facilities were told the same thing, but not the accounts manager as they are friends. She then tried to request meetings with us managers after our hours. I kept denying the requests. Eventually, she wants to meet with me due to my attitude. She arcs up about not attending meetings, and I tell her the meetings are outside my hours and I won't be attending as I'm not being paid to be there or reimbursed for my time. She tells me it is not only expected, but demanded that staff work outside their hours and not be remunerated for it. I questioned her regarding my contract, how many hours I am supposed to work across how many days, and then the college's staff agreement, which has start and finish times, nothing about working more hours for nothing. Tell her I'm doing my exact hours down to the last minute and taking my full 45-minute lunch break, in which I will not be lifting a finger to work, even if the systems are going down. Week or so later, server goes down 20 minutes before home time, wireless was down, server access, phone access, even hardwired network connections. I call an external support company to investigate and head home. She tried to stop me from leaving, and I told her it was my home time and to duck off, otherwise I would be placing a bullying complaint to her boss. She was livid, screaming at me, telling me she was going to have me fired, etc. Legitimately ended up sick and didn't go back until following Monday. They went 24 hours with no network connectivity until support company could fix it all. While sick, she tried formally complaining about me to the education department to try and have me removed from the college. Stupidly, just about everything mentioned above was in email, minus the stopping me from leaving and telling her to duck off. That was on CCTV, which I retrieved a copy of. Replied back to the education department with the emails and security footage, requesting a formal complaint against her. They were quick to withdraw the one against me, and with overwhelming evidence, not only did I receive a begrudging apology, she is now one more staff complaint away from being relieved from her position. Edit. Formal complaints go on her permanent employment record for government schools. Literally one more formal complaint and she is forcefully removed from her position and will never be employable in a government school for the remainder of her career. Update. After being on forced, mostly unpaid, leave for 5 months now, she has been made to resign from her position at the school and within the education department. She will now never work for the education department again. Unfortunately for another school, that hasn't stopped her from getting a job in the private system in a strict religious school. I am however content that she'll never work for the government again. Thanks for listening.